Following my video about the top 10 manhwa that just don't live up to their potential, I'm doing here a top 5 of manhwa that sure as hell do. These manhwa go beyond what they start as and become far better series later on into it than they start off as. It's a top 5 because, to be honest, they're the ones I found that were the best among them, and I don't want to pad this list if there isn't anything to include. One of these is a bit of a special case because it's more of a wave function, but that being said, let's jump right into it. Starting off at number 5, actually this is my special case, and this is actually the top 5 in order of how awesome I think they are. It's The World After the End. The reason I say this is The World After the End actually started off with crazy potential. I thought it was the next Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, same like story creator, and I'm like, oh my god, the story is going to be so good in this one. The visuals are amazing. The fights are so cool. This idea of the secret behind the tower was awesome. That first little bunch of chapters was insane. I was making videos about this is going to be the best manhwa of the next 5 years, and then it slapped me in the face and became the most basic, stupid series with a protagonist that has 3 brain cells. It is insane. But it's that shift that caused me the disappointment. It went from being this is going to be a story-driven thing by a cool character that uncovers the secret of the world and is able to fight it. And it became, this is a character that can fight it. Forget all those other things. The story of the world is not interesting. The character that's discovering the secrets of the world, honestly, he knows how to stab. Only stab. Which is a concept. I get it for this world, but it's... Anyway, I'm not crazy about it. And then the fights. But the fights are still good. And I was like, damn it. This is trash. I need to throw it in the garbage. And I kept reading it, because visually it's so good. And after a while I was like, you know what? Now that I've accepted that this is what it is, it's just a fight the next strong battle. And there's no real storyline. There's minimal character relationships. I'm like, okay, all right, I can maybe live with this. And now I'm excited about the next chapters because we're at these big fights. They're super cool. They're flashy. The characters around him have become stronger as well. And overall, I think it did a complete and came back. Because, again, it's about the promise you give me at the beginning of the story. And it didn't meet that promise, but it gave me a new one and delivered on it. So I have to kind of put it on this list as one that's disappointed and then kind of met my expectations. Anyway, cool. World After the End, weird series, beautiful, check it out. And by the way, the physical version is insane, check it out. Number 4 is Kill the Hero. You might find that Kill the Hero was good from the beginning, but I'd argue that it's just gotten better as time has gone on. The premise of coming back and wanting to get revenge on the guy that was behind your death is in Manhwa world is an everyday occurrence, which if I said that to a normal person would probably sound pretty darn weird. It's very generic, but you kind of felt for the relationship the character had built with that hero that he was following that betrayed him, and how much that not only did he die, but he was betrayed and disappointed and all these things, and it was just a really good idea. But the intricacy of the itemization, the summoning, the manipulations he's done between the clans, this story has just ramped up as time has gone on, and now he's at this crazy power level, and he's finally able to basically go toe-to-toe with this other clan, with the person that betrayed him. And man, is it a great ride to be on, and you should be reading it if you're not. But definitely a story that starts off with, this is a little generic. Oh, it's a necromancer thing. I've seen that before as well. But it really builds and builds and becomes this amazing series. Next is going to be Venom Dragon. Venom Dragon is a series a lot of people drop. The beginning of the story is extremely rough. It's a character that gets tortured, and everyone he cares about pretty much for the whole story, gets killed continuously. And it's all in the purpose of making him angry and go through terror and agony. And it's after a while, it just becomes depressing to read, and a lot of people jump off of it. But there's something that happens a fair bit into the story, and this is why I can't tell people, like, oh, you need to give it a chance, because you do need to read like 50 chapters or more to get there. But there's a point at which he becomes more of a hopeful character. His ambition and not just his revenge. It becomes more than just, I need to kill this person. It's, I need to change this world a little bit more. At least that's the way it feels when you're going through the story. And that it isn't that everyone's his enemy. There are people that can be his friends. And this changes the way the story feels. And I can just tell you that if someone gets to binge the series right now, even the colors go from being dark and depressing and lightening. And this, from an artistic perspective, it's just phenomenal. Plus, the fights are really good. The use of poison in this story is like nothing else you've seen. Poison is such a big part of this story, and its way of being used is super interesting. And the characters look good, and the visuals just get better as time goes on. Like, the art right now is freaking on point. Venom Dragon, if you didn't check it out originally, I think you definitely should jump back into it. It's worth your time 100%. Just power through it. Number 2 is Eleceed. Eleceed is top 5 right now for me. It's so darn good. I think it's third. Right now it's my number 3. And each chapter coming out right now, it's probably the manhwa with the most exciting chapters. As of this week, I'm doing it. Just because there's some stuff happening right now that's like, ooh, yes. You know those anime or those manhwa that you read or those manga you read where there's characters that have these little moments where you're just fist pumping, your hair is rising on just how awesome the scene is. This manhwa has a fair bit of it, but God, does it not start that way. This manhwa has one of the slowest starts. And some people love it from the beginning for like the slice of life feel, the relationship building that occurs. Like, honestly, relationship building wise, this story is like leaps and bounds from many others, particularly when it comes to friendship. It feels like a lot of like old school friendship in slice of life anime, but this anime is not really purely a slice of life anime. It's a powers anime. And the main character, honestly, for most people, he's kind of hard to like, despite him being very likable. He's very weak, but not just in power, but in personality. He's afraid of like using his powers. He spends a lot of the early story like being concerned about a lot of things, whether it's his relationships or his fighting or hurting others. And there's this point where he starts realizing that he needs to fight for those that matter to him, fight to protect, fight and be proud, and he has changed as a character. And right now where they're at in the story, you're just like, this guy is a completely different dude. He's still the same kind person with his friends, but the moment danger appears, he does not look away. He faces it up front, punches it in the face real fast, and it's so good. So good. And the art feels different in this manhwa. And maybe you won't like that. Actually, my number 1 also has different art. You might not be a big fan of it, but like, it works for me now. I think it's really cool. Actually, my background to my computer is one of the characters from the story who's like so damn cool. But anyway, that one is my number 2. At number 1 is Legend of Northern Blade. If you read the first chapters, you kind of know what I mean. I loved it from the beginning, but like, and everyone I speak to talks about how it has a slow start. The manhwa in the beginning just follows kind of a kid that lost everything, a little bit, just kind of a lost puppy in a situation, and the beginning of his adventure that will reach the point of making it my number 1 manhwa right now. It has been my number 1 manhwa for over a year and a half now, and it's a masterpiece. It's a pure masterpiece. The art is its own unique style that you will either love and think it's like the best thing ever, even though you might think you like it, I think it's like one of the best art styles I've ever seen, and yet I also don't ever want to see another manhwa in this art style. It is perfection for this story, told in this way, but I don't think that it would translate well to a ton of other series. So that being said, if the art is a barrier, I get it. So you're facing the barrier that's the art. You're facing a story that in the beginning is kind of slow burn, kind of setup of a young kid, and then you hit the time jump. And after the time jump, this story just hits the gas and gets going. And I was talking about chills. This story has the power to give you chills like pretty much nothing else out there. And the funny thing is, some of the fights will do it, but also some of the dialogue moments will do it. And that's when I feel like a story is great. Jin Muan stands right now as my either my favorite protagonist in Manhwa or my second favorite protagonist in Manhwa. He's amazing. Guys, if you like this stuff, I've made it to the end of the video. Take a time to like and subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. And beyond that, have yourself a great day.